So today we're going to look at an interesting Italian pen from about the early 1970s, maybe late 1960s, and it's the Aurora Auretta Lusso. Now, Aurora is an Italian company. They still exist. They make nowadays high-end luxury pens. And back in their heyday, they were known for making the Aurora 88 and that line of pens, which were sort of reminiscent of the Parker 51. But they also made, sort of modernist, slim metal pens that you could probably describe as a school pen. Now, when I say school pen, interesting thing about school pens, you think of, oh, it's a kid's pen, so it's not well made. But actually, I've seen some poorly made kids' pens, of course, they're school pens. But at the same time, I've come across a number of school pens that are quite well made and beautiful writers. And this is an interesting pen. When you look at it, the first thing that comes to mind, actually there's two pens that come to mind. The first, of course, would be the Lamy CP1. And the second one would be the Parker 25. Mainly, I'm thinking the Parker 25 because of the shape of the end of the barrel. I think it's a lot, I don't have a Parker 25 on hand, but it's a lot narrower. And I don't know if this is specifically a student pen, but it would probably fall into that category of a student pen. But it's very sleek, very interesting design, and a really interesting pen. Now, I got this one from Romania. I found it on eBay, and to be honest with you, I don't think this pen has ever been inked before. I have it inked now, but it came in excellent condition. There's not a scratch on it. There doesn't seem to be any wear, and it's in very, very good shape. And so it's a metal body, black, kind of a frosted black or a satiny black. And when I put it next to, say, a Lamy CP1, you can see what I mean by similarities in design. The clips are similar. They're not necessarily, actually, they're not quite similar, but they're along the same concept. The bodies are very narrow. The Lamy has this little indent on the back here for capping. So at first glance, they seem to be along the same design theory. And I believe the Aurora was before the CP1. I could be wrong. It's hard to find actually information about this pen. I've come across a few things, but not a lot of information online, or I haven't come across it yet. I was trying to research it, and everything I come across is in Italian. So Google Translate, it's a little sketchy. So anyway, yes, it's very much along the line of the CP1. It's just a little longer. It's pretty much 14 centimeters long. Holding them in my hand, I would, they both feel, I don't have a scale on hand. I'd say the Lamy CP1 is just a little heavier. So anyway, I'm going to set that aside. So when you look at it, it has this rather interesting shape at the cap and at the end of the barrel. And it's sort of, I think that's just to create a symmetry to the design. And but actually, though, it posts exceptionally well. It's a pull cap, and it fits on very nicely. Now, the odd thing about this pen is the nib. It's a flat nib. I haven't actually come across, any flat nibs before. I've seen online examples of this on eBay, and quite often, I didn't, they were in rougher shape, so I didn't get it. But I came across this one, and I took a chance on it. Apparently, this nib is fairly easy to pull out. It's perfectly flat, and it's a hard nib. You could probably easily write with this through several layers of carbon paper. Now, that being said, as I was writing with it, I also noticed there was just a nice little bounce to it. Not a flex, but there's a bit of give to it. But at the same time, it's hard. It was kind of an interesting sensation writing with it. it's a smooth writer. I'll say that. Now, interestingly, looking at the design, I noticed that the cap actually matches up pretty much exactly with this middle. There's a bit thicker in the middle here, and that is pretty much exactly the same. But when you do it that way, this is pretty much halfway. So there's a certain design symmetry going on here. It posts very well. Now, reading online and looking up, apparently there was proprietary cartridges for this pen when it came out, but they are no longer made. And so I was digging around, and one of the things I came across online was somebody saying that a Sailor cartridge would fit. So I dug out a Sailor cartridge, and yes, a Sailor cartridge actually fits very nicely, actually. So that's one that I had. It's a Sailor Black. And, black pen, and it works quite nicely. I'm not a huge cartridge fan, so I might pick up another Sailor converter and see if that fits. But at the same time, this pen, I think black is what the color for it, really. So sometimes black pens, you can play around with it, but there's something about this pen that tells me that black is the color for it. So it's a metal body and cap. And that's one thing I've noticed. But this section here is all plastic. So, and that is why I think this pen has never been used, because the threads are still in good shape. If you look inside, you can see the threads inside the barrel are metal, and these are plastic. So that always worries me, metal on plastic. I can easily see these getting cut up fairly easily. So I'm going to be careful with it. But right now they're in perfect shape. They screw on very nicely, and it's a nice firm join. There's a little step right there. It's smooth. It doesn't bother me. And it's a plastic grip, of course, and plastic feed. Now, watching a video online, somebody pulled it was in Italian, and I didn't really have it translated, so somebody was pulling that out. But I don't know how you could take the feed out. It probably pops right out. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that right now. It's in good shape. So anyway, I put a Sailor cartridge in it, and then we're just going to do a little writing sample and just take a look at it. And as I said, it seems like it's a hard nib. And it's a flat nib, and I don't know if this is true or not. When I was looking on one site where they were for sale, and it was in English, and somebody was saying that it was designed with right or left-handed people in mind. So luckily there's a left-handed person in the household, so I'm going to do another video about this pen and see how my daughter likes it, as a left-handed person. I don't really know what the shape of a nib would do, because as you write, as a left-handed person, your hand goes through the ink. One way around that would be to use quick-drying ink or a blotter under your hand, or some kind of little hand rest, so your hand is not on the page. But we'll look into that. So anyway, it's so it's Aurora Auretta and Lusso. So the quick brown fox. Now, I wouldn't say it's the smoothest writer, but it's not scratchy in any means. And that's where I'm saying it's a hard nib. So if it's used as a student pen, they probably wanted a durable hard nib, one that's good with carbon paper or making copies, or for use on cheaper papers or things like that. Interestingly, I don't know if we can see it here. There's quite a little ball of tipping on the end. It's hard to see. But as you look at the tip, it's almost a perfectly round ball right at the tip of the pen. And that's the iridium tip. And makes me wonder if the nib is designed to be flipped over, or can be. I don't know if there's an up or a down side to the nib. It's perfectly flat, and that makes me wonder if doesn't matter which way you put it in because of the tipping. And so as I was saying, it's a hard nib. You can, like, I'm not saying it's scratchy, but it's a hard nib. But at the same time, there's a bit of a spring to it, and you can get a little bit of line variation of the pen, right? And you can hear the pen. There's a sound, that's not, you can hear it on there. It's a dry pen, but that also might be the Sailor ink in it. Now, as I said, it's very similar to the Lamy CP1. The nibs are, of course, quite different. And actually, this is plastic here, too. So the section is plastic on this also. And this, of course, I have a converter in it because I had a Lamy converter. But the barrels are pretty much exactly the same in diameter, I would think. This might actually be a little narrow, a little thinner. One interesting thing about the section, I was noticing the cutout shape of this section here, and I had seen that before. And where I had noticed it was on a Geha that I have, a student pen also. And as you can see, that kind of cutaway shape is very similar. It's more pronounced maybe in this one, but that sort of cutaway shape is very similar. And that's probably true of a number of different pens from that period, that shape. It's almost symmetrical design in that aspect. So yeah, so altogether, this pen is no longer made. Aurora has become known for very high-end quality pens. It's an Italian company. It's been around for quite a while. I don't actually hesitate. I have to look it up again. I for some reason I thought Aurora had gone out of business at one point and then had been relaunched a few years later. But I'll have to check about that. But one thing about Aurora is they made and make their own nibs, as far as I'm aware of. They probably still make their own nibs, and it's an interesting company. They have made some beautiful pens over the years. The Aurora make actually has a few different variations and shapes and things like that, and some design changes. So some of them are obviously more aimed at children. But yeah, it's a lovely pen. It writes very well. And it's an excellent shape, so I'm actually quite happy to get this. And I'll probably pick up a Sailor converter for it. And in the meantime, I can use my cartridge. So anyway, there you have it. The Aurora Auretta Lusso in black. And it's a lovely little pen, a very interesting little pen. And I'm going to get my daughter to try it out and see if it actually has any benefits for left-handed people. That'll be interesting to see. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm hoping you're all having a great day. It was raining like crazy here just a few minutes ago. Massive downpour. But that's PEI for you. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new around here, I invite you to subscribe. In a few weeks, I'm probably going to do a little middle of the year special, just going through the pens and inks of the year, probably aiming for July 2nd, because July 2nd is, I think, middle of the year, precisely. And you know what? I might actually, maybe we'll do a live stream of that. I haven't done that yet, but that might be kind of fun to try some kind of a live stream. Maybe people can, yeah, we'll see. I don't want to make any promises. But anyway, thank you very much. Fun doing videos. And do you have any Aurora pens? If you do, I'd love to hear about it. What do you think of them? and you have any more information about them. Are they for left-handed people? Let me know in the comments. I always enjoy the comments. So thanks a lot. I hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.